Good afternoon, beekeepers and bee enthusiasts. How you doing? It's another great day at the farm, and we are hanging out. It's getting cold. It's supposed to get down to like 20 tomorrow, so we're going to be chilling. The bees are going to be chilling, but it'll be a good time. And of course, today we have a really good topic for you, and we want to talk to you, of course, about successful beekeeping with the least amount of human interaction. So, what can we do to be successful with beekeeping while also disturbing the bees as little as possible? And it's going to be a great subject, a lot of cool things we're going to talk about. And without further ado, let's break right into it. So first off, why should we have minimal disturbance as beekeepers? You know, why shouldn't we just interact with our bees every day and handle them every day and take care of them and make sure they're good to go and all that good stuff? Well, of course, you know, we follow Lezutin's teaching of natural beekeeping through Keeping Bees with a Smile. It's a great book. But in there, he talks about how, you know, with bees, even though they're simple, they're actually a very complex organism. And the way they work is they basically have evolved to survive under really tough conditions in a lot of cases. But they have learned to stay around, and they've done so for most of history without that human help. It's, you know, humans have only been around for a blink of an eye, and in that time we've started beekeeping. But bees were around a lot long before that, and they were doing their thing and surviving and doing well. So, you know, with our style of natural beekeeping, we decided that we're revolutionizing how we used to keep bees back in 2011 and stuff like that, where we were in those hives all the time, every day, all day. Well, now we've revolutionized that from Lezutin's teachings and saying that we're going to interact with our bees the least amount as possible. And we're going to get a lot of enjoyment actually from just watching the bees come and go out of the hives. And we can actually tell a lot about their health by the way the bees are coming and going. And so, you know, in our opinion, bees tend to do a lot better the least human interaction they get. And that is why we go along with saying, you know, we're not going to disturb them. We're going to trust them to do what they do. And we have trusted them to do what they do. And for years, they've been successful. And we've been successful with that model. So, yeah. So the next thing to talk about is, you know, okay, so beekeepers fall somewhere in a spectrum of interacting with their bees, none at all, versus interacting with the bees every day, all day, all year, forever. And all beekeepers fall somewhere in that spectrum with how much they interact with our bees. But how much does SecureAcresNaturalBees handle their bees? Like, how much do we handle our bees throughout the year? Well, in fact, the most we go into our hives is twice a year. That's right, twice a year. In the spring, we'll conduct a spring inspection to make sure the bees are looking good, make sure they're okay. And then we will fill the hives up with frames all the way full. And then they will sit like that until the fall. And then in the fall, we will extract our honey frames and be good to go. And basically that's all we do with going into the hives. The only other thing we do is of course, when we catch a swarm, we insert them into a main hive and we keep them there. But other than that, the interaction is really small. And, you know, a lot of people look at that and they say, well, gosh, Wes, how can you only go into your hives, you know, twice a year? And I would tell you that we've been able to keep them for almost 4 years now under these methods. And our bees have done really well. And, you know, because they're surviving, thriving, and our apiary grows every year, we don't really see a reason to change that model. You know, and it's funny because Lezutin used to say that he would check his hives once a year, but even he thought that was once too many times a year, because he knew that bees really thrive when they're kind of separated from human beings. So, yeah. So the last thing I'll give you to end this video is, don't be afraid to be a lazy beekeeper, okay? I would consider myself a lazy beekeeper. We only go into our hives once or twice a year, and generally the most we're doing is looking for places to put swarm hives, or we're watching the hives, or we're watching the swarm hives catch bees. You know, that is the stuff we're doing, and it's easy work. And you know, a lot of times nowadays, you know, humans, they've got that mindset that, you know, we have to improve everything we're working with, and we have to fine tune it, and we have to make it better. And what you got to understand about honeybees is a lot of the ways that they're programmed, like they're hard to find into those methods. And when you introduce a bunch of man-made stuff, it can actually break the system, and that's when you get a lot of bees that die. You know, I see people say all the time, "Oh, the bees are collapsing. The bees are collapsing." You know, colony collapse disorder and all that stuff. But the truth is, you know, wild bees are doing fine. They're surviving. They're getting along. They do lose colonies, but they also have colonies that reproduce. And, you know, when you get human interaction to the extreme, like in commercial beekeeping, where you're towing 1,000 hives across the country, you know, pollinating several different plants and all kinds of weird things, you know, that's when you can have a lot of failure, because it's just too much human interaction. And a lot of those bees that those commercial beekeepers work with, they die because they just can't handle those kind of conditions. And because of that, we basically look at it and we say, all right, well, let's keep our interaction to a minimum. Lazutin says only go into the hives when absolutely necessary. So that's what we're going to do. We're only going to go into the hives when absolutely necessary. We can tell everything we need to tell off that spring inspection. And then basically throughout the year, what'll happen is what happens. And even in the fall, you know, when we go into the hives, we don't even do an inspection. We just take out honey frames. So we're really keeping human interaction to a minimum. And because of that, our bees are thriving. They've been thriving here for years. And yeah, it's been a really good time. So don't be afraid to be a lazy beekeeper. We hope you enjoyed this video. And until next time, we'll see you soon.